Democrats have rested their case in the second Senate impeachment trial that Trump is now facing. Now we're waiting to see whether Republicans have any type of response to the case that has been put forth by impeachment managers. And then it's very likely that by this weekend, there will be a vote on whether or not to convict Donald Trump. Now, in regard to the presentation of new evidence, I would argue that yesterday was a far bigger day than today was. And what was incredible was to see someone like Lindsey Graham, who, I mean, it's not shocking. Senator Lindsey Graham is going to do what Senator Lindsey Graham is known for doing, which is sucking up to Donald Trump, sucking up to his base, and completely denying the overwhelming evidence indicating that Donald Trump inspired these individuals in breaking into the Capitol building and doing what they did, rioting. 5 people were killed that day, just complete and utter disaster. So in response to all that evidence that was presented, Lindsey Graham tweeted this: "The not guilty vote is growing after today." I think most Republicans found the presentation by the House managers offensive and absurd. Now we're gonna show you some of that evidence in just a second, but Lindsey Graham also talked about this on television, so let's hear what he had to say.
But let me tell your viewers, the not guilty vote is growing after today. I think most Republicans found the presentation by the House managers offensive and absurd. We all know what happened in the Capitol was terrible. I hope everybody involved that broke into the Capitol goes to jail. But I don't remember any of these House managers saying a damn thing when they were trying to break into my house and going after Susan Collins and spitting on all of us.
Now, there's a big difference between anyone who might have bothered Lindsey Graham in the past and what happened with these Trump supporters breaking into the Capitol. They were inspired and encouraged by Donald Trump, not just in the days, weeks, and months leading up to it, but on the very day that it happened. And I wanna just show you the first piece of evidence, okay? So let's take a look at one piece of evidence that was provided by the impeachment managers during the trial. Take a look.
Well, some of you may say, well, who was paying attention anyway? Well, that mob was paying attention.
Mike Pence didn't have the courage to do what should have been done to protect our country and our Constitution, giving states a chance to certify a corrected set of facts, not the fraudulent or inaccurate ones which they were asked to previously certify. The U.S. demands the truth.
So Cenk, that is what these insurrectionists were reading, a tweet from Trump as this attack was underway. They were clearly taking directions from Donald Trump.
Well, we now know that as he was told that people had broken into the Capitol, he was watching, apparently, according to one source, delighted. Mike Pence was within 100 feet of catching up to the mob, having the mob catch up to him. I don't know what kind of bloodbath there would have been with the Secret Service being there, but that was super dangerous. Trump has never apologized to him and tweeted in the middle of all that another tweet against Mike Pence. So, and Lindsey Graham on that day, his life was in danger, so he's squirming around like a little pig, okay? Not because his life was in danger, but because for the first time, he's like, oh, these are the consequences of my actions as a squealing little pig, right? So then at that point, he was frantically trying to call Trump. Trump wouldn't take his call, because why would he talk to a little pig? And he thought, well, I got this mob all riled up to kill you guys. So sit there and take it, Lindsey. And at that point, Lindsey was crying. And so when he came out and he was safe, he said, enough is enough. But God, it only took a couple of days for the pig to turn into what he is, back into it. So he starts squealing, oh, I love Trump, we've seen enough, he's not guilty. You're just the most pathetic. Look, I'm a bad person. I say really insulting things about Republicans who deserve it. And then I make them cry. And so I'm not a good liberal in that sense. And so Lindsey Graham will, cry into whatever outfit he's got on. But let me give a classy person. Best Calb on Twitter said, whatever Trump has on Lindsey Graham can't be as damning as what Lindsey Graham is currently doing to Lindsey Graham. And that's exactly right. What a pathetic little bitch he is.
Yeah, I mean, you make a really good point, because on that night when the Senate reconvened in order to finish what they had started earlier that day, Lindsey Graham gave this impassioned speech where he said enough is enough. But remember what that was followed by, Cenk. It was followed by Trump supporters surrounding him at an airport and threatening him. And so I don't know how much of Lindsey Graham's actions are driven by his absolute fear regarding Trump's base. But all I do know is that this is not someone, I mean, he's a US senator, someone in a tremendous position of power. And you would think that someone who gets to that point would show some courage, some leadership, some ability to think for him or herself. But we're not seeing that with Lindsey Graham at all. He is driven by fear. And that certainly appears to be what motivates most Republican lawmakers in this day and age. And it's absolutely pathetic and sad, especially from a party with supporters who claim that they're all alphas. In reality, they're all cowards and refuse to do the right thing. And remember, the Trump supporters were also chanting something very specific about Mike Pence as he was doing what he was constitutionally required to do. Let me remind you all of what that was.
Guys, Anna, let me jump in here for a couple of seconds. Look, the House managers have done a brilliant job. And I told you guys, Jamie Raskin is fantastic, and I'm really proud of it. But honestly, if I was them, the only tweak I would make is every day I would start and end with the Hang Mike Pence video. So you Republican senators, you're gonna cover up for the guy who encouraged that. And then after having seen it, never apologize. Guys, think about it. If I had done some speech that riled people up and I did not intend it, and they got so riled up they went to try to execute someone, let alone execute someone that works with me, I would be deeply apologetic, not necessarily because I intended it. I'm giving Trump the benefit of the doubt if you're a Trump supporter there. But even in that best case scenario, even if you don't intend it, oh my God, they almost killed my vice president. I'm so sorry, that's obviously not what I meant. Nope, not one word, not one apology to Pence. And those Republican senators now think, oh, he didn't mind having his vice president executed. I'm gonna vote for him because I'm the worst slime on earth. So let me go back to Lindsey Graham one last time. Now he says, just like Senator Ron Johnson did, what did Nancy Pelosi know, and when did she know it? About what, you monsters? About that they were coming to kill her? So what's your implication is she set up the Trump mob to come try to kill her and Pence. Come on, man. I mean, I'm not gonna ask if you have no decency, because you obviously don't. But instead I'll address it to the audience. No matter how low you ever feel, like your best friend turned on you, you can't pay the rent, you can't provide for your family, whatever it is that's crushing your soul. Remember, you'll never be as low as Lindsey Graham. I don't care what the media says about his status or his stature or that he's a goddamn senator. What a pathetic, groveling little creature. And none of you will ever be as low as that slime.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, I really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.